Greetings, free thinkers. Welcome to the Hoggcast. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing fine. I certainly am. Okay, what do we have for you on today's episode? Remember the talk on that show in which Sharon Osbourne appeared? It's one of those daytime shows in the United States. We have one here, like in Britain, it's called Loose Women. But you know, it's one of those leftist kind of talk shows where they just bash everything and complain about men, specifically straight white men, of course. And you remember this was in the wake of the Piers Morgan having his own opinion in regards to the bullshit that came out of the mouths of Harry and especially Meghan Markle. Sharon Osbourne stuck up for her friend because neither of them are actually racist. In fact, both of them are pretty damn leftist themselves, but they're not pure enough for the Puritan left. Now, this resulted in that incident on the talk show, right? And some leaked audio, which we're going to listen to, has been released that shows it was really just a sham. But it's more than that. It's more than that. Because the leaked audio goes to show you what's really wrong in the West. What's really wrong in common parlance, in common culture, everyday life. There's a rot that has set in that leads to nothing good. I'm going to go over that, and the audio proves it. So let's get into this now. But if you haven't yet, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and share the video around. If you value conservative commentary, we are conservative commentators, and as such, we are not welcome on this platform. That's why we are shadow banned, demonetized, and reduced. Okay, let's go.
I know you're upset. I know it was terrible, but I just hope that once this blows over, So
that crying in the background and snivelling is Sharon Osbourne. She's been brought to tears for defending her friend when neither of them are racist and both of them are leftists.
No, Cheryl is your friend. She really is your friend. She doesn't think you're racist. I don't think you're racist. Cheryl and I are held to a different standard by black people and people of color out there who expect us to say something about every racist anything.
What if it's not like this? What if it's not racist? This line here really bothers me. Quote, Cheryl and I are held to a different standard by people of colour, black people out there who expect us to say something. This is like, I don't know the word to describe it. It's kind of like a white Uncle Tom. It's like you're held to a different standard. This is that allyship thing. You know, the idea that you're an ally. You are expected to be subservient. If you are an ally, you are expected to never stand up for yourself, of course. If you see something that's wrong, never criticize it. If you see something that's right, always criticize it. This is what being an ally seems to be about, okay? And that quote in particular there really bothers me. She seems perfectly okay with being held to a different standard than other people. This is what I mean about the rot that is set in to not only public discourse, but Western culture. A rot has settled in which it's okay, apparently, to be treated, quote, to a different standard, held to a different standard. And they willingly do it. They do it willingly. This woman's crying. She was ambushed. She didn't know this was going to come up. She was ambushed on set and is crying when she's always been a woke leftist herself, but she failed on this particular day. She failed the allyship test. She failed the woke purity test because she stood up for her friend Piers Morgan, who is also not exactly Mr. Conservative son, right? Because he, like most people, refused to believe the royal family is apparently upset over Harry's choice of wife, when this is the same royal family who bent the knee to Black Lives Matter. They bent the knee just like the footballers and everyone else. This was that, as an aside, was the straw that broke the camel's back with a lot of white working class people who have given up their support of the royal family. I'm one of them. I got into many arguments and worse in my youth for defending the royal family. And then what do? They bend the knee to the people who wants to destroy not only us, but them. Black Lives Matter just pulled down, defaced statues of Queen Victoria, a descendant of the royal family today. So you bend the knee to them, and then they pull your statues down. And then when they ask you on your opinion on it, you're that cowed and cowardly. You say, oh, well, yes, I agree. You have the right to do that. Yes.
Similar, and it puts us in such a f***ed up position that even if we don't have the information, if we don't even really care, if we don't really want to engage.
Quote, even if we don't have the information. This is what it means to be an ally. Even if you don't really care, if you don't want to engage, there's a spotlight on you. So even if you don't have the information, you are still expected to destroy someone like a robot, because you are, quote, held to a different standard. That's what it means to be an ally, to be a subservient, robotic fool to yourself and to the community you are a part of. This is the rot that is set in the West. And it's only people that look like me, people that look like us, that do this. They just, left-wing people don't see the hypocrisy in themselves. This is why a lot of conservatives, and myself included, always point out the hypocrisy of the left. But do we really expect it to change? These are people who have no innate concept of hypocrisy. They just don't acknowledge it. They don't recognize it when they see it. They don't see any issue with it. They don't agree with the concept of hypocrisy. They can say one thing one day and then one thing the next day, and it doesn't bother them, even though everyone else will say, hold on a minute, yesterday you were saying the opposite. There's no point telling them that. They don't have that thing in their brain where they analyze themselves. They are subservient. They are one step away, in my opinion, from being a slave of sort. Because you, or at least a white Uncle Tom. But that bothers me. Quote, even if we don't have the information.
It feels like a spotlight is on us, you know? And so it's like, I think that Cheryl was trying to navigate that line.
You know, the spotlight was on us. Have to throw him under the bus. Here now with reaction, host of...
And that's it. The spotlight was on us. We had to throw them under the bus. That's it, yeah. Oh, I don't want the spotlight to be on. The spotlight will always be on you. The second you apologise, why do you think they wanted you to take a knee? To bend the knee. It has... That gesture, bodily gesture, has meaning. Like sticking the middle finger up has meaning. Like a thumb, yeah, alright mate, has a meaning. It is a bodily gesture with meaning. Okay? To bend the knee means surrender. That bodily gesture means I surrender and capitulate to you. So yes, the spotlight will be on you if you've bent the knee, and it will always be on you. You think if I just throw my own family under the bus, they'll leave me alone. If I just throw my friend under the bus, they'll leave me alone. No. They'll come back again and demand you throw the next person into the bus. And so on, and so on, and so on.
Waters World, author of the now #1 New York Times best-selling book, How I Saved the Web.
Fantastic.
How revealing is it? We don't even if we don't care, even if we don't know anything, we have to say it's racist.
It's a takedown job, you know, when you're very successful. People want to take you out. They want to take you out, Pete.
You see it all the time. They're coming for you. It's pretty obvious. She was the only famous person on that show. I don't even know any of those other women's names. So the producers were involved. Producers, you can't trust them. I used to be a producer, terrible people. So what did she say, actually? She said Piers Morgan called Meghan Markle a bad word or something. She said he's not racist. Correct. They say he is racist.
No, Piers Morgan didn't call her a bad word. Piers Morgan said he did not believe her BS, basically. If you tell me that you got abducted by an alien, do I have to believe it? No. So, would we then be in a society where, well, if a person of colour says they were abducted by an alien, you have to believe it? Because if you don't, you're an ism, you're an ist. That's where they're heading. Of course, with the whole abducted by an alien thing, I'm being a bit hyperbolic. But the premise is true. I say something happened. I say something is true. It is my lived experience. You have to bloody well believe it. You have to believe it. If you're an ally to POCs, you believe it, no matter what I say. That's a slippery slope. And where does this come from? Why don't I have a right to believe what I want to believe? Why do I have to believe that you was abducted by aliens? I don't. And to be honest, I would rather believe, from what I've seen, that you was abducted by aliens than believe that the British royal family in its current state, its woke, pandering, cowardly, powerless state, bending the knee to BLM, somehow had a problem with Harry marrying Meghan. I don't think even Meghan believed it, by the response from Oprah herself.
She says, give me an example. They couldn't give her an example, and then she gets canceled. So Ozzy Osbourne, the husband's got to be thinking, wait, I bit a head off a bat. I worship the devil, and I peed on the Alamo, and you're getting canceled for that?
Do you think the left, who cover themselves in pentagrams, worry about people who worship the devil? What the left concern themselves with is people who worship God. This is why in Canada, churches are being burnt down left, right and centre. It's not devil worshippers the left are concerned about. There's quite a lot of them who make up their ranks. So I wouldn't worry about Ozzy Osbourne getting cancelled for that. They think he's cool. He's cool, man, for worshipping devils. Okay? Try worshipping God and see how much credit you get from the left then.
It's crazy.
They were more than, and here's the other thing, we got one more piece of sound, because behind the scenes, they admitted even further. We don't even care about this stuff that much. Listen.
I'm not a DNI expert. I didn't know I was going to
So diversity inclusion, which actually means division, basically. It means singularity and division, right? And now they have a term for it, DNI. So a diversity and inclusion expert. What is a diversity and inclusion expert? Define it. Show me it. Show me it in action. Right? And then I will believe it. Show me it. Quantify it.
On here and be the...
No!
I don't know how to do that, actually.
Neither do I. I'm just a old woman that has a lot of stories. Next. I don't care if you're an alien. Are you a nice alien? Then come sit down.
You're missing the point. The people who are holding you to this standard don't hold themselves to it. The people who... Right, you're saying, I don't care if you're an alien. If you're a nice alien, come and sit down. The people who are pointing the finger at you care exactly what you are. They care what gender you are, what race you are, especially. That's what the left care about more than anything else. They care what gender you are. They care if you've got an R or a D in front of your name. Okay? So whereas you get people like Sharon Osbourne saying, no, I don't care if you're an alien or a nice alien. I mean, you know what she means. She's being hyperbolic as well. Which means it doesn't matter what colour you are. It doesn't matter where you're from. If you're nice, come and sit down. The people who pulled this stunt on Sharon Osbourne do care. This is something that, and again, Sharon Osbourne is not a conservative, This is something that conservatives, though, do, and even centrists. You'll always hear them saying, oh, well, I don't care what colour you are or where you come from. Da, 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 da. The onus isn't on you. The onus is on the left, because they do care. And they make it their business to care. And it's not you that needs pushing back on. It's them.
I mean, the mob had to be fed. That's what it comes down to.
You got to feed the mob. The mob's hungry.
Yeah, we'll leave it on that point there. We'll go back a bit. Because that's the truth. The mob needs to be fed. And that's the be-all and end-all.
You got to feed the mob. The mob's hungry. And
You've got to feed the mob. The mob's hungry. If I had my way, Twitter would be banned. I'm on Twitter, but I don't really use it. I used to love Facebook. These days, I don't really use it. And I feel better for it. These companies, Twitter, Facebook, they, in my opinion, need to be banned. Or at least broken up and restricted greatly in their power. If they are what they claim to be, social media companies, a platform where people can communicate, right? Just be those platforms. Don't get involved in all this crap and all of this stuff. When you do that, you're not a social media company anymore. You're something more insidious. And if you want to be something more insidious, all power to you. But just make sure you tell us what you really are, okay? Instead of the cloak and dagger and the smoke and mirrors, which is all you seem to get. Is a wall, a tidal wave of cloak and dagger. And I'm sorry, but it only seems to come from the left, right? And that's probably a detriment to the right, because where has conservative honesty gotten you, or me, or anyone? Where has it gotten? Who has the power? All of the deceitful people. They have the power. Anyway, look, and they use that mob very effectively. But look, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you guys think about this incident and the video in question. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel. Hit the like button if you found it informative. The notification bell, and so on and so on. We conservative commentators, we are demonetized, deboosted, and reduced, as Susan Wojcicki calls it. We're conservative commentators, and as such, we are not welcome on this amazing platform. And YouTube is an amazing platform, but like Facebook and Twitter, it will be ran into the ground by the deceitful people who want to hide our voices, for example. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.